So tip number one, I would say, is when you go to the hospital, you're assuming that they're going to give you the max of everything.
Absolutely.
Be quite honest with them. Make sure you're stating, hey, I can't take care of them the way that they think you can. Be honest. Like, you're not a nurse. You're not somebody who can be there 24/7. So you have to be pretty clear in saying, hey, I work 9 to 5. I work all these hours. No one, he or she will not be home for that given time. And I'm
Thankfully with my dad, so after my dad had his stroke, we realized, okay, where are the power of attorneys? Where are the wills? And all of those needed to be updated. And my dad had it on his list of things to do forever. The will that we found had like pen marks on it and pencils and lines. And we thought, okay, so once he was able to, we actually did take them to a lawyer.
Perfect.
Got their wills updated, got their powers of attorney in place.
Hi, everyone. It's me again. And guess what? We're back with another Sandwich Years. For those of you who are dialing in for the first time, and I say dialing, I know, that's old internet. I mean, those of you who are watching for the first time, we're talking about the Sandwich Years. And what that is when you're taking care of some sort of elderly. Could be your parents, could be aunts, uncles, and actually now we're hearing about siblings. And so if you're taking care of those at the top bun, and then also if you're taking care of some dependents, which could be your children, which could be your nieces, nephews, it could be maybe even some youth that you want to support. And now we're leaning over a little bit to fur babies as well, because they're dependents as well. You can't really go on vacation and leave them home. So that's kind of what the Sandwich Years is about, is pretty much you have the top bun, the bottom bun, and you're in the middle. And so we call that squeezed and blessed. So today I have a friend with me, and my friend is Deanna. And so Deanna, can you please introduce yourself and let everybody know what your situation right now? Like,
my gosh.
What's happening?
Okay, so introducing myself. I'm not good at introducing myself, but like you said, my name's Deanna. I'm a wife of 23 years. I'm a mom to 2 teen boys, 19 and 15.
The boys go
I am a 9-to-5er, corporate worker. I have a passionate side gig, which is essential oils.
Okay.
And I'm a 25-year volunteer with the Canadian Ski Patrol.
Okay.
Trained in advanced first aid, so I ski about 150 hours a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What else? And yeah, I'm a hockey mom on top of that. Besides those teen boys that I talked about, they've been involved in hockey since they were both 4 years old.
So waking up really early in the morning, ice time is what I hear about.
Early mornings,
and
many.
I also hear that hockey moms and hockey parents are a little bit...
They are.
Okay.
They are.
And I'm not going to say it because I'm a basketball mom, but we respect the hockey moms and hockey parents because they wake up really early.
They do for a period of time. It does eventually end because the older the kids get, the later the ice times get.
Okay.
But yes, those early years seem to last forever and ever.
Ever and ever.
And then when they seem to move to the other end of the spectrum. So now I have boys who have practices that start at 8:30 at night and run until 10 or 11:30 or 10:30. And I mean, that's my bedtime. So it's a bit of a challenge for me, but the good thing is that they both love it. They're both, it keeps them active. They could be into so many other things. Yeah. So I'm glad that this is what they've chosen to do.
And you know what? We do it for our kids. We'll do whatever we need to do for our kids. That keeps them active, happy. So we'll do it. And so you're in the Sandwich Years. In regards to let's dissect the Sandwich Years for us. Okay. Let's talk about your top button. So what's happening on the top side?
Okay. So like I mentioned to you earlier, so on the top side, both my parents have passed.
Okay.
We cared for them for a number of years. So in 2011, my father had a stroke. My father and my mother just lived independently up until that point.
In Ontario?
In Ontario,
okay.
But I live in Markham. My sister lives in Ajax, and my parents lived in Muskoka.
Okay.
So that added a whole other layer of complication once my dad had his stroke. He ended up in a hospital up in Muskoka.
Oh, geez.
My mom didn't really know what was going on. So now we're navigating between, figuring out what's going on with dad, making decisions now with the healthcare staff there. Of course, they didn't quite know how to care for him. So we eventually got him transferred down to St. Michael's, where where he had a care team that he'd been followed by before. So that was helpful because, again, my sister's working, I'm working. I had a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time. And now we're pulled away to go up to Muskoka to care for mom, dad, and you just felt squeezed, right? You're not there for your kids. And now you're trying to care for this situation that's going on and unfolding in front of you. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, those years, that was kind of my sister's and my first experience with the healthcare system, dealing with it in that capacity, how they care for the elderly when they can't
speak for themselves.
Really, that's what it became. We had to always be speaking for them. We always had to be advocating for them because no one else was going to do it. It was really hard to find somebody within that healthcare system who was going to care for your parent the way that you thought that they should be cared for. And I know healthcare workers are doing their best. They are, about squeezed people, but in those moments, you don't care. That's your dad,
they're
that's your parent,
yeah.
They're my priority. I don't care how many other patients you're taking care of, right?
And also when you don't also know about the system and how it works as well, navigating within it, no one can do right because you're just like, that doesn't seem right, but you don't know the system. So when he had his stroke, what did it leave him with? Like, was he able to remember things? Was he not? Was he verbal? Was he not?
So he became, he was, I want to say in the beginning, a little bit verbal.
Okay.
He could, when we'd ask him questions, he could answer. He definitely had cognitive deficits, which was really tough to see. My dad was an engineer. Oh. He was one of the smartest men that I knew. Mm-hmm. And to see him in that way was really hard in the beginning. He had physical deficits, when he finally was able to walk again. He had many months of OT and PT to try to get him walking, speaking, all the things.
In Muskoka or or
he
did
was
they
down
sell
here.
the house and come up?
No, so the house was still there, but they moved down now to be down here. So now we're navigating dad being in the hospital. Okay. We've got mom bouncing between my house, my sister's house, also getting her to see dad when we could, of course, doing the kid thing, doing the work thing, all in that same time period. I think it was probably a good 6 to 9 months before we finally got him to the point where, he's done rehab. We can get him positioned back home. They wanted to go back home. That's what they wanted to do. And he could walk with a cane. Okay. But I became, now I'm taking care of the bills. I'm taking care of the finances. Somebody's got a doctor's appointment. One of us has to be there because we don't know that the correct information is going to come back to us. And plus we also could see depending on the doctor or the specialist who you saw, that not all the concerns would be addressed. So we always had to make sure that one of us was there. So it became a really a big time of juggling.
Yes. And that's what the Sandwich Years is pretty much about. You are juggling here and there just to make sure. And you're probably also not taking much care of yourself as well.
Oh, I wasn't taking any care of myself.
So, yeah. And you probably didn't know which way was up, pretty much. It was just kind of like, who needs me now? The phone would ring and your heart would sort of, that's kind of how I felt. My phone would ring and I'd be like, is it the school or is it the home? Yeah. Is it what's going on? So were there any tools or things that you figured out that you're like, oh my gosh, if I had to do this again during that episode, when someone has a stroke, what are some of the things that you should do right away that would have saved you down the road? Is there anything there?
I would say that with my dad was maybe it's bad to say he was the trial run because we kind of figured out how to work the system and what to ask for and not be afraid to ask for things and always just advocate for that person, your loved one. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want.
So give us an example.
So for example, they sent him home and said, okay, we're going to get, this was a big one. I can remember this in the hospital. So the specialists, whoever, would come in and say, okay, so the goal is to get dad home. Okay, great. So who's caring for dad at home? Like, he lives with mom, so mom can take care of him. And we would say, no, look at her. Like, she's a 75-year-old woman. She can't bathe him. She can't, do all the things to care for him. They need help. And so we always had to be there. We learned early on that if we didn't ask for it, like, they would just assume, oh, okay, you're there to take care of him. You're there to take care of him. You don't need home care. You don't need any of the other supports that are available. So we learned very quickly, and we would actually coach my mom, if they say it, you cannot take care of him. Yeah. And she'd be like, but I can. I don't care. Because you know what? You're only going to get 3 hours of home care a week anyways. So we may as well try to get all that we can.
So, I mean, that's key. So tip number 1, I would say, is when you go to the hospital, you're assuming that they're going to give you the max of everything.
Absolutely.
Be quite honest with them. Make sure you're stating, hey, I can't take care of them the way that they think you can. Be honest. Like, you're not a nurse. You're not somebody who can be there 24/7. So you have to be pretty clear in saying, hey, I work 9 to 5. I work all these hours. No one, he or she will not be home for that given time. And I mean, we went through a similar situation with my dad as well, to sort of articulate that, no, he can't do this. Or when he was diagnosed with diabetes, no, he doesn't even know how to do that piece. Somebody's got to show him. And the home is not supporting that piece. So we need that support. And so you would say, for sure, make sure you articulate exactly what happened. Do not take the responsibility on yourself, because you will not get the support you need.
Absolutely.
The other piece I learned too, and you probably learned this as well, was when they're coming home, they would like to send them home as fast as possible.
Oh, yes.
If you don't have this stuff at home, do not take them home with you. Like, if you don't have a bed that they can sleep in, that can move for them properly, if you say, come home, like you say, yeah, I'll take them home, they're good to come home, and you're now waiting for support for that bed, you're now at the bottom of the list. You're at the higher of the list when they're in the hospital.
Yep.
So really make sure you ask for it. So you said it, ask for what you need.
Ask for what you need.
Make sure you articulate that, when he comes home or she comes home, bathing, that's not a regular bathing. Like, someone's got to be in there. Someone actually has to be able to physically lift. If you cannot physically lift, or their partner can't lift. And so when your mom is like, I'll take care of him, she wasn't thinking, no, she wasn't, I need to lift him.
Right, exactly. The other thing at my parents' house, because they try to, go through the PT and OT to make sure that you can get back home. And they had stairs where they where they were living, and the shower that he would use, which was a big walk-in shower, which was great, but it was downstairs. So we had to keep telling them, he needs to be able to navigate stairs. Like, you cannot send him home until he can do stairs. So that was one of the things that they worked on with him in rehab. But had we not been there to say it, I don't think my mom would have had this, the sense or just the presence to be able to articulate that to them. And my sister and I kept saying, no, he can't go home because he can't bathe, because the shower's in the basement.
In the basement.
Right.
So definitely articulate for your loved one. Make sure that you're actually kind of thinking out your home layout. Because your home layout will probably have to change, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And it did. So did you get support in understanding what needed to change? Like, did someone come in and sort of analyze that for you?
We did have help in that respect. We had somebody come in. So for the first little while, he actually stayed at my house. So they would come to my house, like the specialists or they would come in and they would look and say, okay, you need a handrail here, a grab bar here, things for the shower, a walker maybe to navigate when he gets up the stairs. So we got all of those supports in place. Nice. And then when they were ready to move back home to Muskoka, because the caregiving centers are different. So at the time it was CCAC, I think. Yeah. And now it's something different entirely again. But there's Toronto region, there's Markham region, there's Muskoka region. So then it's like you're starting all over again. And that was really frustrating. Of course, when we got to my mom, caring for my mom a few years later, we felt like we kind of knew what was going on. We knew the system.
To the point where they're talking to you, you're like, actually, this is how it's going to go down.
And that's really how it was. Like, honestly, that's why I say my dad was like the dry run for my mom, because by the time my mom needed that level of care, we knew the story. We knew how she was going to be treated by the healthcare system and how we needed to step in and be able to advocate for her.
Okay. So Dad, if we fast forward, he did end up going home. He lived for
like 5 to 6 years at home. You know,
recuperating slightly, never back to
normal. You know, never back to his old self. But still, he had that same sense of humor he had before. He was still, you know, so sharp. It was so funny the ways that it would come out. It always surprised us, but he still made us laugh for years and years. And then the last year of his life was probably, you know, a tough one again, because he was declining. And every time something would happen, and I'm sure you've seen it too, it's like whenever they would get sick or get an infection or something would happen, they just never came back to what they were before. So every time it seemed to be a little bit more of a decline. But we were able to get him into a care home in Muskoka, which is where they wanted to be. Nice. So that was nice.
And when you were looking for the care homes and stuff, you did you went to visits and you did the testing of the food and the test, or no?
Well, because they were in Muskoka, the options are very limited. Okay. Right? So there was the the care homes that are funded, that you get on the lists for and everything, and then there was a private care home. Okay. And there was one available. And so we went to the private care home, and they had a bed and they could care for him. That was our fear, that we wouldn't be able to find somewhere where they could care for his needs, right? Yeah. Because he was in a wheelchair at that point. Okay. He would still get up and try to walk, but it was one of those, you shouldn't be walking. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. So they had the alarm on the bed. Oh, yeah. And the mat on the floor. Things, and oh, my goodness.
The mat on the floor, because that was the one thing. They're like, he keeps trying to get up, for my dad. Yeah. He keeps trying to get up. And I was like, because he doesn't want, he's a goat. Like, they and in their minds, they still can go. And so, like, many calls of sitting there going, he fell again. And I was like, he fell again. I was like, is there a mat? They're like, no, there's a nice thick mat there. Right. So it's going to be okay. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So fast forward. Yep. We have the funeral, everything like that. It was very sweet, loving.
It was very sweet, loving. We did a celebration of life because, my parents, that's what they wanted. They wanted to have a celebration of life and have their ashes put into Lake Muskoka out front of their home. So that's where they are.
Very nice.
Well, I know. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be there, but that's where we put them.
And so the good thing is, while you were with them, you were able to find out what their wishes are. Very difficult conversation to have.
Oh, my goodness. If that's one thing, I mean, thankfully with my dad, so after my dad had had his stroke, we realized, okay, where are the power of attorneys? Where are the wills? And all of those needed to be updated. And my dad had it on his list of things to do forever. Yep. The will that we found had like pen marks on it and pencils and lines. And we thought, okay, so once he was able to, we actually did take them to a lawyer. Perfect. Got their wills updated, got their powers of attorney in place, so that the next time we had to go through something with them, and they would ask, the healthcare people or whoever, the bank, whatever it was, where's the power of attorney? Who has power of attorney? Yep. And
after you go through it the first time, you get it. So you have to have that sheet with you all the time, because nobody will talk to you without the sheet. No. And so the sheet actually identifies. And so the key, we're gonna hopefully get some lawyers to have some conversations to explain how it works and stuff. But normally there's two power of attorney. So you and your sister, I guess, assuming. Now, was it an and or an or?
It was or.
Okay. Yeah. So and ors are different. So if it's an and, both parties have to agree on whatever's happening on either power of attorney. If it's an or, then either can make the decision, but hoping that you have a really good relationship with your sister, which you probably did because you realized we're in this together.
Absolutely. We knew we were just in this together. And it's so surprising to me, like having gone through that and having all those pieces in place, how many people I talk to of my age who have elderly parents who don't know any of this.
Yeah.
And if there was one thing I was telling them after I shared, my story with my dad and then with my mom and all the things that we had to go through, I would say, if anything, go to their bank, get your name on their accounts, get
while
the
they're
power of
able
attorney
and while
in
they're
place.
also make sure that they're still, because after a
Exactly.
certain point you can't do that. And it's not, to be quite honest, it's not legal and it's not fair,
Right, for
them to
sure.
be saying I want this when they're not actually of sound mind.
Like it's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to do it while they're still of sound mind, but you also want to be cognizant that, okay, Mom, let's go get my name on your account. And Mom would be like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Like, I don't
That's
need your
my
name
money.
on my account.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
there's a level of independence that they still kind of want.
It's so true. And
yeah,
I've had this conversation with so many people about just, if you can do anything, do that. Otherwise, something happens to Mom, Dad. Now you've lost access to all of everything, the funds to be able to care for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
pay their
that's
bills,
the other piece,
whatever it is.
And they need that piece, like paying of their bills and stuff. Like for my dad, I had to make sure I knew all of the bills, so I knew where to put stuff and how to pay stuff and all of that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
For my mom as well. So Dad passes.
Yep.
Mom, and I think a lot of people forget, Mom's there and Mom's grieving because her partner's died.
Yeah.
How did you help her?
So we spent a lot of time with Mom. So
Okay.
Mom still wanted to be independent, wanted to be in Muskoka, so she stayed at the house. That was their lifelong dream. It had been the cottage. They'd owned this place since 1967.
Oh, wow.
And it was the cottage. It was our cottage for years and years until 1992 when they retired up there. They said, this is where we're going to live. So for me, we still call it the cottage because that's where we would spend our weekends, our summers. So having us around, and by then, there are 4 grandkids, so that kept Mom busy. So just spending a lot of time with her, and always having her down, like in the wintertime, we would get her down to stay with us instead of being up there on her own.
Because of the snow and all of that.
Yeah.
Like all of the house care and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like at this point in her life, she doesn't need to be worried about any of that.
She's not
stuff.
shoveling snow, and we don't want her to be up there. So we would get her down for a few months to spend time with us. So Dad passed in 2017, and it was probably about 2020 when we started to notice things were not right with Mom.
Okay. So Mom, what was happening with Mom?
So Mom was telling us these stories. She started telling us stories about, there were flashlights, people running around the cottage at night with flashlights.
Oh, that's
and
so
somebody
scary.
had broken in, and then there were boats on the lake. And some of the stories that she would tell at first, you think, okay, it's possible there were people running through the woods with flashlights, or it's possible there were boats out in the lake and kind of, but the stories got stranger and stranger. And anyways, very, very long story short, Mom was diagnosed eventually with Lewy body dementia, which is a form of dementia, which my mom had 11 brothers and sisters, and 9 of them had some form of dementia or Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So Mom was one of the ones to get diagnosed. And so part of that illness or disease involves seeing things that aren't there. Hallucinations.
Okay, so
this
is okay, so hold on, before we fast forward.
Yep.
Dementia, what is the name of it called?
Lewy body dementia is what she was diagnosed with.
Okay, so it wasn't memories, it was actually hallucinations so she remembered a lot of things.
She could remember a lot of things.
Okay.
Sometimes her memories weren't quite, there was always a little bit of truth woven in, but then there would be something in that was just so fantastical, right? Like she could remember things from long ago, but anything that was more recent, she might remember it a little bit, but then she would weave it into something that absolutely did not happen.
Okay.
So for example, we would go to see her cardiologist, and her cardiologist told her that she shouldn't drink anymore, right? Because that's not good for her heart. And she would say, well, the cardiologist said I can have a couple of drinks a day. It's like, no, Mom, no, that's not what he said. But
that's what she heard.
That's what she heard.
And to be quite honest, a lot of us kind of hear that too. So I'm not sure how far that is, because sometimes, okay, we won't go there. Yeah. We won't go there. But I see where she, like, so she would kind of make her own truths.
She would make her own truths for sure. But in her mind, like, they were absolutely true. And so what I learned early on was there was no point in arguing the fact, right? In her mind, whatever her truth was her truth.
Let her have it.
And it was harder for my sister. My sister would argue, no, that's not what happened. That's not what the way it is. And one of my girlfriends who, she works in geriatric care at Sunnybrook, and she said to me at one point, you know, I was going on about, okay, mom just doesn't, we need to go here and I need to get mom there. I don't know how to get her there. She said, just lie. And I looked at her, and it was the first time I realized, my God, like, why don't, just lie. You're at the stage now where you just got to get her there. If your lie is for their benefit, even if they don't know it, then it doesn't matter.
And as you said, it's not an evil lie.
It's not an evil lie.
It's a lie that will reduce the resistance.
Absolutely.
A lie that we're not telling you to lie, but if it helps reduce the resistance and it has a positive outcome for everyone,
exactly,
then it might, and it's in their best interest.
Yeah.
Right.
No. For sure.
And so I mean, So that was probably really hard.
It was hard.
And then what are we thinking about the children? Like how did the children cope with everything?
So the children were pretty young, like with my dad.
Yeah.
But then, so Nana was always, you know, they spent a lot more time with Nana.
Okay.
Right? Because we had years with Nana without my dad, and they were getting older. But they just, you think I'm kooky? My mom was like, and you think I'm unfiltered? Oh, my goodness.
They don't know that yet.
I come by it very honestly, everybody. But my children just loved her. Like all the grandchildren just loved her because she wasn't like a normal Nana. Okay? She was not a regular Nana.
She was a banana Nana.
She was a banana Nana.
I love it.
Nana drank her Manhattans every afternoon, and we got her to stop smoking, but she used her vape.
Okay.
And so, of course, as Nana's Lewy body dementia got worse, she would forget how to use her vape, and she would burn out the vapes. And I mean, I don't know how to use them, so I would have my mom at the vape store trying to figure out this thing, and they're trying to explain it to me. I'm like, oh my, like. Anyways, it was chaos at times, but we have so many funny stories over this period of time. And my kids, when she would come and stay with us, my kids just loved having her around.
You know what? That's one of the blessings. You know, when we say we're squeezed, but just those funny stories and those things that just you sit there and go, I remember that like yesterday. Yeah. And it makes you laugh. And like, that's what kind of gets me through some of it. You know what? To be honest, we're similar. We both don't have our parents anymore. And it's a lonely place to be there sometimes because they're your number one cheerleaders. That's how I see it. And so
it's so true.
when you have them gone, it's kind of, you sit there and you're like, am I lonely? You have your siblings, which is great, but your siblings are your siblings. They're not your parents.
Right.
And so, but those warm stories, those funny stories,
we have so many. That could be a whole other episode. Just tales of Irene. I have reels up there actually of my mom teaching my 8-year-old how to make her a Manhattan. So I like when I came in and I was witnessing what was happening, I was like, I just got to film this, and this is going to be a reel. And
so we're gonna call her a banana nanny.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, so. Lastly, my key question for you is, how do you take care of yourself?
Oh my goodness. So I guess it was actually maybe a year after my dad had his stroke and I was feeling squeezed and all the things and not caring for myself is when I was actually introduced to essential oils. And
hence your side.
Hence my side hustle, right? So I was introduced to them through a good friend. And it's not that I went out there looking for something and thinking these are going to magically change my life. Yeah. But I thought there has to be a way that I cannot feel like I'm just always thinking about the next moment. I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about what happens next. I just want to be here and be present because even with all the stuff going on with my parents, that life is pretty good. Like, I've got a good job. I've got great kids. I've got friends. I got a great husband. You know, I've got food on the table. I've got all the things. Why do I feel just so stressed and unable to sleep and headaches and all the things? So I started down this journey with essential oils. I found out how powerful they were, how much they had worked for me, of the positive experiences I was having. And I slowly started to share them with my friends. Like, people would ask, well, what are you doing? Like, why do you look so great? Why does your skin look so amazing?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you stressed out? And I'd be like, hey, you got to try this. And that began kind of my journey of sharing. And I just, people who know me know that I'm I'm your go-to resource for all things oily.
All things oily.
All things oily. I'm the oils pusher.
She's the oils pusher.
But also, I love to do it with, without any fluff, without gimmicks. I'm going to tell you what's what. I'm going to tell you what you need, because what you need might not be what I need, and not everybody needs everything. Right?
Okay.
But everybody's got a thing. Everybody's struggling with either sleep or stress or digestion or body pain or headaches.
And so you found a lot of the solutions in there. Do you work out?
I work out.
Okay, so you also work out as well.
My routine is very important to me.
And so you put a routine in place.
Absolutely.
And so that's also another self-care tip is, putting a routine in place. And then being present, I think, is kind of key. And I think for me as well, when you're dealing in the sandwich years, you're actually, to your point, waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yep.
And then you're not actually enjoying the moment. And so, essential oils is helping you kind of remember the moment.
Yeah.
But then also you cognitively had to sit there and go, I need a routine in place so that I can have a moment.
Absolutely.
And then you said it already. She sleeps early. She's actually should be in bed right now.
I really should be. Like, this is cutting into my sleep time, and
she might actually fall aslup soon. So we're gonna wrap this up.
I could have come in my pajamas, because that's normally what I'm in by 4:30.
We don't do pajamas here.
Absolutely. The my working out in the morning.
Okay.
It's a non-negotiable.
Okay.
My routines, my wellness routines that I have, my vitamins, my lemon water.
Okay.
How I use oils. Non-negotiable. My sleep, non-negotiable.
So you've created those things for you.
Yeah.
And then you also said it to your support system. So you've mentioned your sister, you mentioned your husband, you mentioned you have to lean on other people. You pick the people, but you've got to lean on other people, because that helps you through, right?
For sure.
Okay.
And it's incredible during this time. It was like kind of after most of these crazy years that I met the many of the people, like the Fem City crew and the Kindness Circle crew. That's when I got more involved with them. And it's just, the support that I have from them.
You find your peoples. You find peoples, and you find them in the different places.
Yeah.
Like my peoples. But yes, thank you.
Oh
Any lasting tips or anything that you would want to tell somebody who's deep in the sandwich years or coming out of the sandwich years? Like,
oh my gosh. Some big words of wisdom. Deep in the sandwich years, don't forget to care for yourself. Even if it's 5 minutes, sitting down for 5 minutes a day, taking those deep breaths. Lean on your spouse, your partner, lean on your siblings. Don't say no to getting help when you're in those years. And if you're coming out of them, just remember that you can. It's important to still care for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed her. I do. And we'll probably have, I have a feeling, like I have a strong feeling a lot of people are going to be like, can you bring her back? Because they do that for other people. Can you bring her back? So you might be called back again.
I better be, because now if I'm not called back, I'm going to feel bad. You better call me back, people.
So please stay tuned for the next one. If you have a comment for Deanna, put it in the comment section. But thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.